Today is a memorial of St. John Bosco, patron of editors, publishers, youth, apprentices, and magicians. Why magicians? Because in order to draw youth to his message, he's reported to have used magic tricks, which he learned in his youth from a traveling circus troupe. In this fourth week of Ordinary Time, we are in one of Mark's 2 cycles of Jesus' healings and miracles, showing the inbreaking of God's kingdom into human life. We've already seen Peter's mother-in-law healed, demons driven out, a leper cleansed, a paralytic healed, a storm calmed, and today, 2 miracles, one sandwiching the other. Jairus' daughter brought back to life and a hemorrhagic woman healed. Let's look a little bit more closely using our imagination to set the scenes for both of these miracles. On the one hand, we have an important synagogue official, Jairus, coming to Jesus to beg that his daughter be healed. Then later, upon learning that she is dead, Jesus calling her back to life, saying, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." And in between the petition of Jairus and the girl's arising, we see a woman, long ill, suffering from hemorrhages, touching Jesus' robe and being healed. We see her hesitation, her desire not to be seen, her wish to grab a bit of Jesus' power to make her well, and her fear and trembling as she is discovered. And Jesus' healing, on the one hand, privately in Jairus' home, and on the other hand, publicly for the woman. What might Mark be indicating in the sandwiching of these 2 stories? Well, Marianne Getty Sullivan writes that the sandwich technique of Mark's implies that the 2 stories can be better understood in relation to each other, one interpreting the other. The daughter and the woman are similar in that both are female and therefore of little account in the culture of the times. Both are unclean, one because she is dead and the other for bleeding. And in both cases, a belief that healing can happen. On the other hand, for differences, the little girl has her father, a synagogue official well respected, as her advocate, while the woman has nobody but herself, surely seen as an outcast and poor, Mark tells us, after spending all her money on physicians. Yet despite their differences, Jesus chooses to heal both. And what is the gospel's message in both miracles? That the kingdom of God is at hand. The poor, the weak, the sick, the afflicted are healed through the love and mercy of God through Jesus, different as each woman is. And what are the essential elements to Jesus' healing as seen here? Well, a desire to be healed, a belief that healing is possible, that the individual is worthy of healing despite ostracism and cultural taboos, and in many cases, the presence of Jesus' touch. But most importantly, faith, belief. Donald Sr., in his book, Jesus, a Gospel Portrait, in commenting on Jesus' miracles, states that if there was faith, then the miracle had already begun. The physical cures were simply dramatic illustrations of the fundamental restoration Jesus worked in everyone whom he touched and who believed in him. So what might these stories say to us today? We might first ask ourselves in what way we personally need healing. since we all do in some way. We might ask the grace to identify these needs honestly in prayer. They could be physical, but as importantly, they may be a need for healing in relationships, or for discouragement or depression, or for grief in its many forms, or isolation, or simply a lack of joy. And then we might ask ourselves whether we really believe healing is possible, that God can heal us. If we have difficulty believing this, then what might be holding us back? And lastly, we might ask ourselves how each of us can provide healing to others. Jesus says to the woman in today's gospel, "Daughter, your faith has saved you. Go in peace and be cured of your affliction." Faith first, then healing. Let us be encouraged to seek the healing each of us needs, to believe that God can do that, and to recognize when healing occurs, whether in the form we desire or in the form God chooses.